Hi everyone, welcome into this week's my weekly CBS Fix. This week's Parsha is Parshas Bamidbar, and this coming week is also the holiday of Shavuos, the holiday in which we accepted the Torah at Mount Sinai. And the Torah says, "V'yidaber Hashem al Moshe b'midbar Sinai," and Hashem spoke to Moses in the midbar of Sinai, in the desert of Sinai. And there's a medrash that says that the Torah was given with three things: Eish, Mayim, and Midbar, which means fire, water, and midbar, desert. So the question is, what do these three things stand for that it was essential for the Torah to tell us this over here? And see how we can connect this, obviously, with the holiday of Shavuos, accepting the Torah. So each of those three things, they stand for something specific. Mayim, water, stands for the humility of a human being. In order to acquire Torah, a person must be a vehicle, must be a vessel of humility. Water comes from the sky, and no matter how high up it is on a mountain, it lowers itself down all the way down to the rivers, down to the streams, down to eventually it can go to the lowest point on earth. Water just flows all the way down. That's what water is. And no matter how great a person is or how smart a person is not supposed to be excited about how smart he is or how wise he is or everything that he knows, because that's his job here on earth. But rather, the person is supposed to have a humble approach to it, that no matter how high he is, he tries to remain low-key, as water always tries to do. Water is always compared to Torah. Torah is compared to water. And that is, anybody who is a Ben Torah, that is his job, to always remain humble. Fire represents the spiritual fire that one has to have. That fire is what creates a person. As Torah is also considered an Eish Das, a religion of fire. And the spiritual connection that we have towards our pursuit in Torah is what makes us great. Fire, we know, of course, could enhance things. It can help cook. It can help clean. There's certain things that it can do. But at the same time, though, fire can also destroy. And so therefore, a person can be very spiritually imbued. And some people are following simply the wrong spiritual path. And therefore, the fire itself also has to be a controlled fire. Make sure that fire can be used for good, used for coming closer to Hashem. So that's water, that's fire. Midbar, desert, is the sand. What is the sand? What is it about the sand? The sand is a symbol of our trust in Hashem. How is that? When the Jewish people were in the actual midbar, when they were in the actual desert, most of you have probably not been in a desert for an extended period of time, but even if that's not the case, or even if that is the case, that you haven't been there for an extended period of time, you can all imagine what it's like to be in a desert. There's not much around. I know there's no vegetation, nothing growing. It's to find fresh water is an oasis over there. It's basically like nothing grows. There's nothing there, and it seems like one can be forever stuck. And unless you get back to civilization quickly, nobody would exist. Yet the Jewish people, they were in the desert for 40 years because Hashem's lesson to them was, you can be in a desert, but I got you. This is on me. So when we know that, of course, Hashem sent them the man and He gave them water and the different miracles that happened for the Jewish people, but the sand itself, that it always represents that Hashem is in control and He takes care of us. So these three things help that a person should be able to acquire Torah: the humility of the water, the fire that one person has to have in his pursuit of Torah, and at the same time, while he's pursuing his Torah or her Torah, they both know that Hashem is taking care of them. And that brings us, therefore, to the holiday of Shavuos. When we want to accept the Torah, sometimes we have to find different ways to renew our vigor towards accepting the Torah. And when a person always keeps these three things in mind, that Hashem gave us the Torah through these three things, so that gives us the energy, that gives us the renewedness to be able to renew. I'm not sure actually the correct word for that, but to renew ourselves in our approach towards accepting Torah. And hopefully, if we have that thought and we have that outlook, that perception, it'll allow us to reacquire Torah and no matter how low we may feel we may have come, and no matter how many wrong fires we've been following, and even if we haven't followed the lesson of the water, nevertheless, Shavuos is a time that a person can renew it, start over, start becoming humble again, start having that zeal for Hashem and zeal for living like a Torah Jew, and at the same time, always having that trust in Hashem that no matter what happens to us, Hashem's got our back. Have a great Shabbos. Have a great holiday. Any questions, always feel free to call 732-556-7576. Love you all. Have a good Shabbos.